Welcome back to the Fans Talking Athletes podcast. I'm your host, Angad. This week we have another very special guest with us. I'd like to take this time to introduce BC Lion and Olympic hopeful, Kayden Johnson.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Kayden.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. So Kayden was drafted in the 7th round by the BC Lions after attending York University, where he played for the football team and participated in track and field, most notably winning OUA and U Sports 60-meter hurdles gold, and he also won silver in the OUA heptathlon. So I think a good place to start for us would be to tell us perhaps a little bit more about yourself. I know there's a lot to cover, and I only got the tip of the iceberg there, but we'd love to learn a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I grew up in Saskatchewan, and that's where my parents live currently, and I went to high school there. My high school was LCVI, where I played basketball, football, track and field. And then I went to University of Saskatchewan for my first year of university, where I was on the football and track and field team. And then after that year, going into my second year, I decided to transfer to York University, where I had fellow athletes and coaches who coached me on Canadian junior national teams in football and track and field. So I saw that as the best of both worlds, an opportunity, and also to pursue theater in an acting career, because I want to be a film and television actor as well. So the theater program at York University is also phenomenal. So it was just a great place to advance my education and my sporting career, and it made out for the best. And I was able to have just incredible coaching, teaching, other teammates, and also help coach other athletes too. And it was just a great opportunity for me. And now I can start this new chapter of my life with bobsleigh, football, and track and field.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And we'll definitely be getting a little bit more into that later on in the podcast. I was curious to learn what was it like growing up in Saskatchewan? And I believe it was a small town, because I hadn't ever heard of that town that you're from.
Yeah, the town I'm from is Corrobert, Saskatchewan, and it's 1,000 people.
Wow. So what was that like?
Tiny. Well, there are so many tiny communities around there where the biggest town in the area within, I'd say, 100 kilometers is Kindersley, which has 4,000 to 5,000 people.
Wow. Tiny towns.
Yeah, but the communities, they're close-knit, and like it's the type of towns where you'll be driving and you'll see somebody, it could be even stranger, and they'll just give you a wave behind the steering wheel. Awesome. You'll give them a wave, and really friendly. Yeah, it was pretty cool experience to grow up there. And my mom, she is a high school teacher, and she actually taught me in a couple classes. And
How did that work then? Like, I mean, what type of grades did she give you? Like, if your mom's the teacher, I feel like you got some leeway there, right?
Yeah, like 8, 9, 10. And she taught me like science, some history. And then she's also a phys ed teacher as well. So, and she is a basketball coach. So she also coached me in basketball. And my dad, he is the track coach for the town. So it's really cool to learn the community that way too.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like your family seems like it's so big into sports, and a lot of great representation. I think your parents went to university in Saskatchewan as well. I think your dad was a decathlete, if I'm not wrong.
Yep, that's right. And then my mom, she did basketball, soccer, and hockey.
Wow, and
all in university.
There's a lot of conflicting seasons, because I know hockey kind of starts, and then basketball is kind of, starts a little bit right after, and then the basketball season's ending and soccer starts. So that's impressive that she was able to keep all that up.
Yeah, it just so happened like her last 2 years of university, that's when women's hockey in in Canadian university started. So then she had the opportunity to join the team and get to be on like the first Canadian women's teams.
Wow. Wow. That is, that's pretty cool, dude. So for, people that listen to this podcast a lot, they know that we usually have three segments. The first being some interesting facts and some, cool stories that, of some of the athletes that we like to cover. The second segment is usually about some career accolades. And the last section is about, some more interesting facts that people just may not know about an athlete. So I think, again, a good place to start off for us would be perhaps telling us about maybe an interesting story that you might not have ever told the media, or may not have even told some close friends.
Well, myself, I'm a huge fan of cosmology and quantum physics. I'm a big nerd, so I have a telescope and binoculars, and I love to look at stars, other planets, Andromeda galaxy, and then also learn more about quantum physics, where just you scale it down to subatomic particles. And I just find that fascinating, just to learn more about this universe that we're living in.
Hey, that's so awesome to hear. And I know you were in the theater program, but did you get an opportunity to take any of those types of courses during your time at York?
Yes, I did. I took a mass extinction class that dealt with Earth's past major mass extinctions. I took a star class that dealt with our sun, the weather of our sun, and how it affects our solar system, and then also other stars in the Milky Way. And yeah, also part of my kinesiology degree that I've been working on, I took biology as well, where you do dive deep into the cells and atoms as well. So I definitely got my fair share of the knowledge that I prefer to seek.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that you kind of got just almost to see a whole other world there. I know there's some students that like to take the science courses, especially as a minor. So I think that's super impressive. And the fact that you're still kind of interested in that type of stuff. On top of all of the current commitments that you have, we kind of started off, and I mentioned that you're currently playing for the BC Lions. You're an Olympic hopeful with the Canadian bobsleigh program, and hopefully maybe in the future you're also part of the Canadian Summer Olympics team as well. Mm-hmm. So kind of trying to juggle all that. What does an average day look like for you, especially in this quarantine world?
Yeah, so I train 5 days a week, and especially through quarantine, my job is basically to get that training session in on the daily and also take care of my body well. So just a regular training day would consist of agility and sprints, which would be anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And that's where I'll either do it on the track or on the football field, or depending on if I want to wear spikes or football cleats, and run routes as well. And then after that sprint training, then I'll go in the weight room and I'll spend an hour or another hour and a half in the weight room as well, working on plyometrics, cleans, more agility, and hurdle mobility just for my hips. And I'm big into recovery. So after all that big workout, I'll foam roll my entire body head to toe, and then stretch also head to toe.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I feel like if we were to ever race, you'd beat me by an entire mile. So that's super impressive that you're still going through all that training with, again, everything that's going on. So you're doing a lot of this training, you're training for the Olympics, you're training for the CFL. What other sport besides football do you play and or watch?
Basketball, for sure. I love basketball. And when I was in grade 12, my team at LCBI, we won provincials in basketball as well. And I really enjoyed dunking too. So we got 17 in-game dunks that season. And that's another sport that I also thought about doing in college, but just because of the season and how it conflicts with where football and track and field don't conflict, whereas basketball kind of conflicts with both seasons. I took the football track and field path, but basketball I still love to watch. I love watching the NBA too. And it's always fun to just go to a court, play some pickup ball, or just have a freestyle dunking session.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully you're a Raptors fan as well. Being Canada's
Hmm.
only team at the moment. Hopefully you're a big supporter of them. I also read while I was kind of prepping for this podcast, that you have a 36-inch vertical. I think that's insane, and along with your 6'3" frame, I think that definitely helps you in dunking in game for sure. Do you? Are you one of those guys that's fancy with it? Like, do you think you could ever participate in like the dunk competition?
Oh yeah, for sure. I can East Bay. I've been working on going behind the back as well,
Okay,
360s.
okay.
So yeah, I like to have some good finesse with it and just try to freestyle and see what kind of dunks I can do, because I feel athletic enough where I can throw down just a wide variety. And I also like to follow professional dunkers too, to see what they're doing, like Jordan Kilgannon
Yeah.
and Jay Clark, the jumper, and other professional dunkers like that. And they're just throwing down some ridiculous dunks. So then sometimes I'm having a freestyle session. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good. Maybe I could throw down this 360 East Bay right now.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's
Hmm.
wicked. We talked a lot about sports here. Obviously, you're super talented in not just football, but just so many other sports as well. So let's kind of dial it back then. If not sports, what would you be doing right now?
I would like to be a pilot, like a fighter jet pilot. As a kid, I was also in, as part of the cadets, where I wanted
Okay.
one of my dreams is to fly F-22 fighter jet. So, but another great thing about bobsleigh is when you're driving down the track, it's like you're driving a fighter jet. And in
For sure.
fact, the Olympic pilot Justin Cripps, after he won an Olympics, he was invited to a military base, and he actually did get to fly a fighter jet.
That's awesome. That might be in your
Yeah.
horizons as well. Do you think that's a goal that you kind of have, kind of following in those footsteps?
Yes, absolutely. I think he set a great path that I'd like to follow, and I would also like to get my commercial pilot's license in the future too. It'd be
Well,
pretty awesome to have a plane.
yeah, for sure. Well, if anybody from the Canadian military is listening right now, please keep our boy Kayden Johnson in mind. I think that would be wicked if you were if you were able to do that. You also mentioned that you were in the theater program at York, and that you're into kind of like the movies, TV shows.
Mhm.
If you were to be in any movie or TV show right now, which one would you want to be in? And my guess would be some sort of like superhero action movie. I feel like you got the build for it, but was just curious to get your thoughts on that.
I would definitely love to be in a Marvel movie, like be part of the MCU.
Yeah,
I it wouldn't matter if I'm a villain or if I'm a superhero, just being part of that, and just the roles and characters, even the costuming, makeup that they use, is
yeah.
just phenomenal. And to be part of that process and put that on the screen would be amazing. It'd be just so much fun and a dream to play one of those characters, because throughout my life, I've always grown up watching superhero movies and
Mhm.
Marvel, DC, and to be a part of that would definitely be a dream come true.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like some even Spider-Man, the actor Tom Holland, I
Mhm.
remember I read in an interview that he was actually at the theaters for when the Avengers first released, and he would never have imagined actually being in it. So, might be the same case scenario for you there. I could definitely see you being like, Flash, in if we're going to DC, or
Yeah.
Quicksilver in the MCU. Given your natural abilities. So yeah, you never know. You never know if something like that might happen. All right, so now I want to get back to some football as well. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, because not everybody kind of gets to do this, but it's the dream of a lot of kids out there. What was it like being drafted by the BC Lions and actually getting the opportunity to play football at the highest level in Canada?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was my first step on securing a dream long goal of being a professional athlete. And in fact, on the night of the draft, G-Roy Simon. He gave me a call prior to my name being called, and G-Roy, I grew up watching him play, and just to have him give me the call, let me know that they were going to draft me, and know that I get to be under his wing and learn from him coming this season, it was just ecstatic. So I'm just very thankful to hear from him, and it just made the night so much more special.
Yeah, that's wicked. And so, kind of on that note, the next question I was actually going to ask you was about who's kind of on your Mount Rushmore of CFL greats. Would Giro Simon kind of be on that?
Yeah, he would for sure, as well as John Cornish as
Yep,
well, and
another
Anthony
Canadian.
Calvillo. Yeah.
Yeah. That no that's awesome. How about for Canadian Olympic athletes? If you were to get a Mount Rushmore of Canadian Olympic athletes, who would be on there for you, and who's kind of, I guess, your inspiration almost?
Donovan Bailey would definitely be up there. Like a 986 is no joke to run, and I've always dreamt of being a sub 10 second sprinter as well. Damian Warner, he is just a phenomenal decathlete, and he's not just fast, but he's a powerful dude, and I've competed against him before, and he
Oh,
is the real
nice.
deal.
Yeah.
And Andre DeGrasse too, for him to be able to break the 200-meter record, like Canadian record, and also to be able to bounce back from the injuries the way he did too. It's great to see him running really fast times. And then I have so much respect for Derek Drouin. He won the Olympics in high jump in 2016, and I had the opportunity while at York University and training with Athletics Canada to be his training partner for 2 years. So
Yeah.
it was just great to meet him, and those athletes definitely have brought me a lot of inspiration in my career.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think you're kind of almost in the position where hopefully within the next, few years where you're going to start to become an inspiration, I think, for a lot of these athletes. And it's funny, I kind of wanted to let viewers know that when I was first kind of reaching out to you, and we talked a little bit about this, I reached out to you, you agreed to be on the podcast. I was definitely super excited. Went and turned on the TV, I was watching like a Raps game or something, and there's an RBC commercial, and there you were training in the RBC facilities. And I think seeing that, especially for a lot of young Canadians, it really helps show kind of what's possible. And again, I know you said that a lot of these people are inspirations for you. Hopefully one day you're going to end up being an inspiration for a lot of these people, a lot of these young athletes that want to make it far, and want to go into track, want to go into CFL, and really just push the boundaries. So yeah, hopefully that does come about as well. I wanted to shift gears a little bit, and I kind of this is kind of a new segment that we're tossing in. It's called a favorites segment. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and it's literally just going to be about your favorite thing, about all of these activities, about all of these topics, what have you. So the first one I got for you right now is, what is your favorite quarantine activity?
Make good food. Yeah, it's fun to bake, especially, and just to have the time to actually go out and like have the ingredients and take time in creating like something that tastes amazing. There's a lot of satisfaction that goes into that.
Yeah, 100%. Anything that you've made that you're particularly proud of?
I'm a big desserts guy, so I've made cookie dough ice cream sandwiches.
Wow, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. I feel like that combines like my favorite of everything: ice cream, of cookie dough, of just kind of everything is in there. So that's pretty cool. So I guess also on that note, my next favorite I had for you is, what was your favorite spot to eat in Toronto, or like the greater Toronto area?
I really enjoy eating at Spring Sushi downtown at Yonge and Dundas. It's right by the Cineplex, and I celebrated one of my birthdays there. It's just an amazing view outside. You just got Yonge and Dundas Square right there, and the food is phenomenal. The sushi there is phenomenal. I'm a big
Yeah.
sushi guy, so that's
Yeah,
another food that I
100%.
like to learn to make as well. And
Yeah.
then right after you eat, you can go see a movie as well. So not at the moment, but as soon as it opens up again, I'm going to bring that ritual back of going to have some sushi and going to see the movie there.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not gonna lie, I would consider myself big sushi fan as well. Wasn't always a big sushi fan. Just recently started to become one. And actually, just yesterday, I had sushi burritos. I'm not sure if you've ever tried
Mm.
those. Fantastic. It's like a fusion food that I kind of found. Bless you. That I found. It's somewhere in Mississauga, and we tried it out, and it was fantastic. It's I didn't know what to
Mm.
expect really, but it was great. Definitely recommend checking that out if you got some free time and if you're looking to try something new.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and kind of again on that note, while we're on the topic of food, what's your favorite post game snack or maybe post workout snack? Maybe after you run a big race, after you've completed a huge training session. What's your favorite go to post game snack?
It would probably be a big burger and some fries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that you can't go wrong with a burger and fries after a hard training day or a competition is very satisfying to have for me. So that's probably my go-to after.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's I don't think anybody can say no to that. But one thing I'd actually be curious about, are you limited to what you can eat then? Because I'm sure they probably have you following some sort of, strict diets or limiting certain types of food.
I'm more so of a mindful eater. Like I have my specific supplement stack just to make sure I'm not deficient in vitamins, minerals,
Okay.
or BCAs, other supplements. But around there, I'm pretty food conscious about what's going into my body and how it will make my body react and how it will react like later on that day or the next morning. And that's just come with lots of experience, trying different foods or different diets at certain times. And it's definitely been a process throughout that because not everybody's body is the same or reacts the
Hmm.
same to different caloric intake or nutrition. So it's kind of a trial and error type type system to see what works best with you and what doesn't. Luckily for me, I also have a pretty high metabolism where I
Okay.
can get away with having, say, a large bag of Miss Vicky's
Yeah, yeah.
at the end of the day or something like that. But not an everyday thing, but but not feel guilty about it either.
Sure,
Where
yeah.
where I know what I ate earlier on in the day, and now I can splurge a little bit or have fun, and it also helps me relax and get
Yeah.
some dopamine in my system
Mhm.
just to help my body relax at the end of the day too. So sometimes you need that soul food.
100%, 100%. And I think a lot of people would be quite jealous of the position that you're in, where you can really eat anything and it doesn't show whatsoever. So you are truly privileged, my friend. So as a part of the game and as a part of your Olympic training, you obviously have to go coast to coast. You're traveling around many, many cities because there's so many training centers across Canada. You're originally from Saskatchewan. You're living in Toronto right now. You're heading out to Vancouver. So obviously you've been places, especially here in Canada. What is your favorite city to visit in all of Canada?
Hmm. That's a tough one. Canada has a lot of beautiful cities. I really enjoyed my time in Toronto so much.
Hmm.
Vancouver is just an amazing city in itself. Calgary is also amazing. I'm a huge fan of mountains, so
Hmm.
I'd probably have to go with Vancouver just because of the location. And I was just living in Whistler, BC, which
Yeah,
is not too far
beautiful.
from Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just living there for the past 2 months. So after that, I didn't take a single day for granted while I was there. You can really breathe it in and know you're just in a beautiful location, and it just feels surreal, like heaven on earth.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm originally from British Columbia as well, so I totally understand what you mean. It's nice being in Toronto. You feel like you're almost at the center of
Hmm.
Canada, at least. It does feel like, it's really happening here.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of Canadians that haven't gone out west just don't really realize how truly
Hmm.
beautiful it is. And I think what you said really hit the nail on the head. Just basically, taking every day like like taking it day by day, really appreciating the kind of like the beauty that's there. I think a lot of people there, perhaps because they're so used to it, might not see
Hmm.
that. But I think a lot of people, especially coming from here, going back, you truly see that. So I totally agree with you there, my friend. So my next on the list of favorites is, who is your favorite artist that you listen to, whether that be, getting hyped before a game, before, a track meet, or even just cooling down after a game, or just listening to maybe when you're on the road, because obviously you're on the road and traveling a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I have a wide variety of musical taste.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
um, I'd probably say The Weekend at the moment.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's another Toronto man, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And Drake, I also
Drake for sure.
yeah, for sure. Wiz Khalifa as well. And then those would be the rappers and pop artists that I listen
Mhm.
to. But I also like rock and heavy metal
Yeah.
and those kind of instruments as well. So my favorite band is Dance Gavin Dance. If you've never heard of them, I'd
I have
recommend you give
not.
them a listen.
I
Yeah,
will. I will.
yeah, and they even have instrumental albums. So sometimes if I'm not wanting to listen to say words or lyrics necessarily,
Mhm.
but just the music and the instruments themselves, I'll just throw them on, and I just
Yeah.
call it
Yeah.
the soundtrack to life, where I'm just in the zone or just walking around, maybe driving, but I just have the instruments just playing in the background. It's kind of like you're in a movie.
Yeah, 100%. Just straight vibing with the tunes. I get that, man. That's awesome. I'll definitely check that band out as well. And for all our listeners, if you haven't checked them out yet, I definitely recommend it. As well, we'll all listen to it together and kind of. I'll definitely give you give you my thoughts on them. But I'm always willing to try out some new music. And finally, I have one more. Although your stint with the Lions has been short, who has been your favorite teammate and why?
Right off the bat, the starting running back Jamal Lyles, he reached out to me right away and welcomed me into the Lion Pride,
Mhm.
and that was just awesome to see because I've watched him play in games already, and
Yeah.
I'm just really excited to have him as a friend and mentor along this journey, and just learn from him and make some great memories, because it's going to make the journey just that much more exciting and enjoyable as well. And just that, yeah, positionally wise too, like having a running back core that is cohesive and collective and learns from one another and meshes well together, it just expands to the whole team. So I'm really excited to meet all my new teammates and coaches as well.
For sure, for sure. And I know COVID is kind of had different plans with that, but hopefully you guys are able to get to the gridiron soon, and
Hmm.
we can watch you compete on TV. So I kind of want to transition out to a different segment that we have. It's called This or That, where I present you with a bunch of topics. Sorry, not a bunch. It's literally just two topics at a time, but we have a couple different topics, of course. Right off the bat, Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron.
LeBron, okay. That's
Yeah.
I think we had last week's guest say LeBron as well, so that's okay. I can live with that. It's nice. It's nice being able to watch him, and I think it's going to be a sad day in the NBA when he has to retire. Hopefully, it's a ways away, but it kind of recently hit me. I was like, he's getting old. It's going to come one
Hmm.
day, and I feel like it's just going to be legit the end of an era.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is, I've seen Michael Jordan play at the end of his career. Him and the Wizards, they actually came to Saskatoon and
Wow.
had a preseason game there. So that was pretty awesome to see Michael Jordan play live. And
Yeah.
now, like you said, LeBron James, like he's getting up there in age too. So I definitely would love to go see a game him live as well. That would be just phenomenal to watch and to really see this powerhouse and someone who can rival the great Michael Jordan as well.
Yeah.
Just to see it in person, it just creates a whole different level of respect for the talents that they do have when you see it live opposed to on TV.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, he's terrorized the Raptors for the past, I don't know how many years, but it's,
Yeah.
it's still a privilege, I think, to be able to watch him. So, yeah, 100%. Next one, Tim Hortons ice cap or Tim Hortons ice coffee?
Ice cap for sure.
Ice
Yeah.
cap, okay. Is that like a around the year thing? Like I know for myself, I'm more of an iced coffee guy now. I used to be an ice cap
Mhm.
guy, but in the middle of winter, I'll be like walking to class with like my hands shaking. Is that the same for you, or do you kind of transition to the hotter drinks when winter comes around?
I'm an iced coffee guy as well. I prefer tea opposed to coffee. I
Okay.
drink lots of green tea throughout the day, but when I do have coffee, even if I brew it at home, I'll
Mhm.
let it cool down a bit, throw a bunch of ice cubes, and just have iced coffee. I find that's the way to go for me, rather than just sip on it over time. I can just kind of drink it like a drink.
For sure.
Um, and the reason I would say ice cap over an iced coffee is because ice cap is it's kind of like a dessert, it has quite a bit of sugar
Yeah.
in it and stuff.
Yeah.
So probably ice cap maybe midday to the end of the day. Whereas if I had an iced coffee, that'd be something in the morning or midday.
Yeah, and did you find that your or iced coffee consumption went up as you got into university? Because that's kind of what I found. I think as soon as I got into
Hmm.
uni, like it just kind of went off the charts. Like I'd have like almost an iced coffee a day, which I don't think is healthy. But did you find like the same thing can happen to you?
Yeah, I did for sure. Like before university, I didn't drink coffee or tea or really
Mhm.
have caffeine in general. But throughout university, then it just kind of got a hold of me, and I
Yeah,
actually like
yeah.
black coffee. So
Okay,
if
okay.
I find like a good tasting black coffee that can be an iced coffee, then I find that's pretty delicious, and I'll drink that for sure. Whereas before university, I wouldn't even touch it.
Okay, okay. I feel you. We'll get back to food in a second. But calling or texting?
Hmm. Calling is it's more personal,
Mhm.
whereas texting, you don't necessarily, or you'll know if somebody's not in the moment or not. If you're texting and it takes a while to reply,
Mhm.
it's less engaging, I guess, for both sides texting. Whereas in a call, you're engaged on the phone. It's more personal, and whoever you're talking to is more present as well as yourself, because this conversation is happening live rather than we're texting. It's happening
Yeah.
over a long duration of time.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more with you. We'll leave it at that, but yeah, I just couldn't agree more with you. Next one, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yeah,
Yeah, all right,
yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. I feel like you're 4 for 4 right now. That's good. Staying in and playing video games or going out with the boys?
Going out, going out. It's just a different environment. Video games, um, they're always awesome to have, but I find the experiences in life are something you can't get back. Like the video game, it'll always be there for you to beat. It
Mhm.
doesn't. Whereas a night with the boys, that's something that those memories that spark, because you don't know what will happen, and those could last a lifetime too. And it just creates a better bond between yourself and your friends as well.
For sure, for sure. That again, couldn't agree more with you. I feel like you're on a roll here. This or sorry, second to last question. I'm not sure if you've heard before, but it's pretty like I think it's a pretty controversial topic. So there is a right answer and a wrong answer. I want to preface that before you begin. Do you put the milk in before the cereal, or do you put the cereal in before the milk?
I put the cereal in before the milk.
Okay, excellent. That is the way to go. I know people that do it the opposite way, and it is unnatural. So I'm glad that you're on that side.
I,
Finally, oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've tried doing it the other way, and yeah, you're right. It doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, it's just strange. I don't know, but I guess let people be people. That's fine. Finally, this one's specifically just for you. Do you find it tougher to learn a script or learning a playbook?
A script. Playbook.
Okay. Okay.
Playbook is something where I can. It's easier for me to learn knowing my job on the field and then
Mhm.
actually executing that. Whereas a script, I have to constantly memorize my lines, especially a big script. As soon as you get it, you're like, wow, this is kind of novel that I got to memorize right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it definitely is a big process and takes time, but it is a fun process. And there's a certain moment at the beginning, you're like, okay, I don't have this memorized. But once things start clicking, then that's where the acting and the fun really comes in,
Mhm.
because now you can bring those words on the paper into real life and actually portray that character, which is the funnest part.
Yeah, 100%. And there's definitely, like little cues and everything you got to watch out for. Like you got to learn other people's lines as well to know when, you're going to be
Yep.
speaking. And there's probably like a lot of parallels as well, right? Between reading a script and the playbook. In certain cases, within the playbook, you got to wait for certain people to move before you do your
Hmm.
thing, especially as a running back, there's a lot going on. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're getting the ball, sometimes it's a play fake. So yeah, there's probably a lot of parallels. Is there anything that you found that, you've that's helped you transition from one to the other, or stuff that you've learned from one that you can apply to the other?
Well, the acting comes, it is useful on the field because I
Yeah,
can make it look like I'm gonna do go for a block, or
yeah.
like I'm gonna go run on a route, but then totally switch it up to a run play, or actually
Mhm.
do block or do go on that route, or even a double move. So it helps with how I can trick defenders on the field as
Yeah.
well, just bringing that acting into the field. So it helps play a role on both sides.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Kind of, based off of that, like I see you scoring a lot of touchdowns, hopefully in the future. Do you have any touchdowns in mind, or anything you can use from your acting career almost, that you're gonna maybe apply on the field?
Um, well, one of the touchdowns that I definitely want to do is 109-yard touchdown. I
Okay.
love showing off my speed and also the speed endurance, and
Yeah.
something where it's a race from end zone
Yeah.
to end zone. There's not a cooler feeling than just running past everybody on the field. Nobody can catch you, and then I would definitely do the track and field dive, lead
Dive.
through
Yeah.
the
Okay.
finish line,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I'd do a dunk on the uprights,
That would be pretty
and
cool. That would be pretty cool, I'd say.
or do a backflip in all my gear because I can do backflips as well.
Wow, I think all three of those are quite impressive, and it would be an honor, I think, to see you do any of those three. So I will definitely keep an eye out and watch some more Lions games, and keep an eye out for that. Awesome. So we're coming to the end of the episode here, and I just got a couple more questions for you, and we'll try to kind of wind it down here. So what's it like being a Canadian playing in the league? Obviously, the CFL is the Canadian Football League, but there's lots of representation from the States, from all over the world, really. But what's it like being a Canadian and kind of going through the ranks, and names like Andrew Harris, John Cornish, come to mind as prominent Canadians, and prominent Canadian running backs at that too.
Yeah, the major thing is I guess the exposure in Canada going into university or professional sports, whereas in the States, if you have that exposure to go to a D1 school, you have more exposure to be looked at by the NFL or CFL.
Hmm.
So I find the exposure is a huge aspect that comes into play, but because we know Canadians have raw talent and amazing athletes as well. And to actually be able to showcase that on the field against Americans and players even from other countries, like now we have Mexico and European players as well.
Hmm.
And it's awesome to see that where all these players from different countries can come together, and it just creates a whole new platform where you have these everybody from different backgrounds and cultures. It's like a melting pot basically in sports,
Yeah,
and
for sure. Yeah.
everybody has their specific attributes that they can showcase as well, and it does get noticed, and it's just a great platform to get noticed as well, and that recognition.
Yeah, and it's almost like representing the country of Canada as well. You've been all over Canada. It's quite a diverse country, and I think the league is really starting to reflect that as well. So, that's nice to hear coming from someone like yourself. What's something that you think you did differently than everyone else that helped you get to where you are today? Whether that be, your passion in the gym, pumping iron, or staying up late, memorizing the playbook. But yeah, what is that something that you think you did?
Recovery is key. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or if you're working an office job. Recovery in general, that's proper sleep. Sleep is a lot of times overlooked, but that's where your brain and your body can heal and recover and refresh for the next day. Also hydration, nutrition, and just any aches and pains, assessing it at the source. Like if your hamstring is sore, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or if you have an office job. It doesn't matter if you have something nagging on you. It's best to get it at the source, so you can foam roll, you can stretch, you can just be active, because just being active in itself creates endorphins, which are positive and will make your mood better, and your positivity will go up. So just taking care of yourself, and it's just doing small things at a time, because the small things add up over time, and that's where you see major impacts and the positivity of your body, self, mind, soul just come together, and that's what keeps you thriving day in and day out.
Yeah, and I think that's super timely advice, especially with the pandemic and everything. I know, like, I'm currently working 9 to 5 as well, and it's obviously tough sometimes in the evenings. You do have other responsibilities sometimes, but I think you're right. I think it really is key to just sit back and relax, and I don't think I do enough of it. There's probably a lot of listeners out there that probably don't do enough of it either. But you brought it up right now. I think it's something that I should for sure implement into my life. And it's nice that it's super applicable to really anyone out there. And I guess you kind of touched on this a little bit with what you said there, but what's a piece of advice that you would give to a young Canadian Olympic hopeful, somebody that's trying to follow in your footsteps and hope to represent Canada on the biggest stage there is?
Well, it might sound cliche, but the sky is the limit. You set your goals high and you strive every day towards them. And mental health is key. Mental health is just being aware of your thoughts, the direction of your thoughts. Am I thinking negative? Am I thinking positive? And just that awareness of your thoughts, that is so vital in pursuing that passion towards your goal and in life. Because if you can be positive, if you can take out all the negativity in your mind and turn it around, I find that helps in stopping roadblocks or demotivation or any obstacle that may come to you, where you can attack it at a positive insight and in a positive manner.
Yeah, for sure. And I think cliches are cliches for a reason, and maybe saying cliches are cliches is cliche in itself, but I don't really care. I think that's super good for a lot of athletes to hear, not just young athletes, but maybe even some of your peers. And you've certainly embodied that, I think, with your career, with being in the CFL, going to the Olympics for bobsleigh, especially like the Winter Olympics. I think that's something that at least Canada is somewhat good at. We're not too good in, I think, the Summer Olympics, but I feel like that whole transition, and it's something that I think is kind of passed down in your family as well. I remember reading that your parents are big athletes as well. and hopefully even transitioning into Summer Olympics too. I
Hmm.
think with kind of all that, you're really embodying that, just really pushing kind of what's out there, what's available, and almost I guess you're pushing it even further with theater and everything. So I think it's one thing to just say it, but I think you're truly embodying it as well, which is again very refreshing, I think, to see. Um, so the second last question I have for you right now is, okay, first of all, what does success mean to you? Because it obviously means something different to everyone. And kind of keeping that in mind, who, in your opinion, is the most successful person that you've met?
Success would be a state of mind. Everybody has a different level of success and what they strive for. Somebody's success here may not be enough for this other person's level of success, depending
Hmm.
on what their goals are. But I find success is a state of mind, and to feel successful, you have to embody it, and you know where your goals are, know what you want out of life, and not put not limit yourself, I guess, not put limitations and or get down on yourself if something doesn't go to plan, because you never know what could come out of that. Like a roadblock may be just another path to a greater success of yours,
Hmm.
open up a whole new avenue of opportunity. And somebody who pops into mind for me would actually be The Rock. He's talking about he's talking with the XFL and the CFL on how they might what well, I'm not sure how it's looking between if they're
Hmm.
going to merge it or what, but just his story in general of how he went to the Calgary Stampeders, he got cut, and he said that was one of the greatest failures and successes of his life, because even though he got cut and from his dream of playing
Hmm.
professional football, it exploded a whole new avenue and passion towards his acting career. And now he's the highest paid actor in the world. And I think anybody would say he is a very successful person. And you can see in his mindset too, and how humble he is as well. So that's definitely somebody who comes to mind right away.
Yeah, and I'm glad you kind of pointed that thing at the end out there as well, because I think The Rock does have that state of mind for sure, and he is like a successful person in the traditional sense, but I think especially with your definition, he truly is, just that motivational person that anybody can really look up to. And I was actually going to save this for later, but even your Instagram handle is, I believe, the Rock. It's something with Rock Johnson, I think,
Jamrock
right?
Johnson.
Jamrock Johnson. There we go. Yeah, everybody listening, go show Kayden some love. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Instagram. But yeah, again, show him some love. Finally, promise, last one. What's next for you after football's done, after track is done? I know you mentioned you want to go into film a little bit. How do you
Mhm.
perhaps see that playing out? And maybe if not film or TV, what else do you think is next for you? Again, you're still very young in this, and you still got such a long way to go, and so much good stuff waiting for you. But perhaps maybe looking a little bit further after all that, what do you think is next for you?
Well, a huge goal of mine is to go play in the NFL. I want
Okay.
to have this CFL career blossom into an NFL dream of mine that has always been there, as well as the Olympics in either the summer, winter Olympics, if not both. And I'm not sure what the future will hold, but that is what I'm working for at the moment. And also, luckily enough, by going to Vancouver, it's Hollywood North, so I'll have
Yeah.
opportunities to go audition and take part in commercials, hopefully some television shows, and if I can get some movies starting, then that'd just be such a blessing and get the ball rolling sooner than I imagined.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you have the right mindset going forward. You have kind of the right values, I'd like to say as well, with kind of how you're approaching things, about kind of what you want to do. And I'd like to say you're quite humble as well. I did remember reading in again another article, I think it was, where you mentioned that some of your numbers are good enough to be in the NFL, especially the NFL Combine. If you get to the NFL one day, 6'3" frame, being a running back, I think that's super
Yeah,
special. So I think
Derrick
it'll be
Henry.
huge. Yeah, exactly. The Tennessee
Mhm.
Titans, I believe, right? Running
Yep,
back. Yeah.
exactly.
Is he one of your inspirations, you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's 6'3", 245, and he's fast too. He showed like big running backs get it done, and he led the league in rushing yards as well this year.
Mhm.
So I just want to follow in his footsteps as well, and just be a big running back. And I'm faster than he is too, and just
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he
No,
gives me a good inspiration to go play in the NFL as well.
so that definitely might be, I think, a path for you going forward. But
Mhm.
I think, if anything, I'm no football expert or anything like that, just a casual fan. But I would say that you definitely have, I think, the personality to get you forward and to basically, I guess, achieve whatever it is you want to do. But with that, I want to thank you so much, Kayden, for taking the time to join us on today's podcast. You're in Mississauga right now, which is great to see. Great for a lot of our viewers or listeners, I should say, sorry, that are also based out of Mississauga and just in Canada, abroad. We all do truly want to see you succeed. I know I want to. I'm excited to see you play for the BC Lions. Obviously a bit of an Argos fan, but because I'm from BC, BC's always my second team when it comes to anything. So as long as you're not playing the Argos, I'll definitely be rooting the Lions on, and hopefully you do, get that starting spot over Lyles. But I know you guys got some good camaraderie going, and I know you're still young, you're still learning from him. So I'm glad that relationship is going well as well. And again, to all our listeners, go show Kayden some love. I do appreciate you being on our podcast. So everyone, go follow him, go give him a nice thank you note, perhaps. And again, look out for him because he's obviously going to be doing some super, super big things. And that brings us an end. That brings this week's podcast, sorry, to an end. And make sure you stay caught up on all the latest episodes. Follow our Instagram page at FTA Podcast. Follow us on TikTok as well. We're new on there. And get to know all the latest guests and episodes coming for you. We have huge things in store. Thank you, everyone. Peace.